Hey everyone, it's JPC again, and this is episode number 3 of Back in My Day. In this podcast, I answer questions that I get from time to time in a more structured and well thought out manner versus the kind of on the fly responses that I tend to give during stream or in Discord. Plus, I get to take some reps at storytelling, which has been a to do of mine. All right, that's enough of a lead in. Hope you enjoy. Let's roll that intro. This one steals a little from the first episode, but I plan to cover things a little bit differently. Instead of just explaining my routine, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I go into attacking the routine more optimally. Okay, obviously, let's do our caveats here. There's generally two reasons that I practice. One is to get a mechanic to be more second nature. I'll talk a little bit about uh, the unconscious or subconscious, whichever, who knows, versus the conscious, and a little bit later. But one of the reasons that I do practice is because of that. The other one is to look for efficiencies. This can be mechanic, strategy, or other performance items, but those are generally the two reasons that I'm doing practice. So putting those things kind of in the forefront as I kind of go down the details of why, well, I guess of how and what I'm doing when it comes to my practice routines. The first thing I want to go over is kind of setting targets or setting goals um, within the practice, and then kind of scheduling the practice around the ability to attack those targets and goals. So when it comes to setting targets and goals, there's this it's SMART goals, and anybody who's heard this, I apologize, you're probably hearing this for the 11th million time. Anyone who hasn't, where have you been? There's no way on earth you haven't heard of SMART goals. Anyway, there, if you look it up, there are sometimes different, I guess, variations of what each letter means, but I'll pick the ones that kind of were more relevant to um, what I'm talking about here. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Specifically within that, measurable, achievable, and time bound are the ones that I care the most about from a practice perspective. Relevant is subjective, in my opinion. Doing medium bots is not really relevant to playing the game of Valorant. So that's what I mean by relevant. So um, somewhat subjective, but at the same time, it's about having a goal behind the practice routine. So when I talked about my training routine before, I kind of do three things, and I'm always trying to actively attack those things and get better at them specifically. But I set up goals that right now are extremely achievable and measurable, and they are, I guess, in a sense, time bound from that perspective as well. Just because the goals themselves, or I guess the routine themselves, are all within a time limit. So it's automatic that they're time bound. But the reason I bring up SMART goals is the idea behind SMART goals is to give you a completely explicit target to attack. And if you do set achievable goals within your practice routine, then you will be consistently hitting them. Um, and then again, I talk about this a little bit later, but then you're adjusting those thresholds as you progress. So give yourself a very measurable, achievable goal, and it'll make the practices that much more optimized for you. Figuring out exactly what you're doing and how you're trying to do it, and then also the question becomes, as you're attacking your goals, why am I or not able to hit them if there is a challenge, right? How achievable was that target? I had mentioned that the eliminate 100, my goal is to get to under 90 seconds eventually in the Eliminate 100. That is not an achievable target for me right now, but as I continuously push myself for my next target. So right now I'm doing Eliminate 50 at my goal is it used to be 54 in the video, but I've already reduce that. So my goal now is 53 or better. So I pushed it down. I'm consistently well under 54. And so now I'm pushing for 53 in my PR. So I keep track of my personal records. I've hit 50 seconds on the Eliminate 50, I think 3 times now. And so I'm aiming for, to try to hit 49 before I move to Eliminate 100. And I want to do it a couple of times. So not only do I have a target for when my practice routine feels like it's been completed, but also I have targets for when I want to change my downhill threshold. So I kind of have multiple kind of smart goals within the relevancy, I guess, of my practice routine. Um, the second thing I want to talk about is mindfulness. So the idea of setting up a practice is to not go through the motions. This actually is a consistent thing that we kind of see in the Wahoojan stream in the mod mail tickets. Not in stream, sorry, the Discord. In the mod mail tickets are well, I did the routine, but I'm not getting better. And when we see the videos from time to time, right? If we see the recordings, um, literally just going through the motions, sometimes, right? I'm not calling anybody out specifically, but there are times when just going through the motions. Well, I did the drill, and I did this drill, and then I did that drill. But you're not trying to better yourself. You're not trying to do um, the best you can. And if you are, you should be asking yourself why it's not working. I found out when I was doing the Eliminate 50, like I was constantly getting stuck at 55. I could never get past 55. Um, and I found out that like as I slowed down, right, I'm acquiring my target more quickly. I need to acquire my target as quickly as possible, but I have to take an extra millisecond or whatever. I know that's impossible. That's why I said whatever. An extra millisecond to aim and shoot, and I want to hit it on the first shot. So if I acquire the target more quickly, but then take just a little bit of time to aim, um, I'm going much faster. And that was something that I wasn't doing initially on because I thought I had to go as quickly as possible. And that's how I've been hitting that 50 seconds for Eliminate 50, was analyzing my practice and finding out why I wasn't getting any faster, what was holding me back um, with that. So don't just go through the motions. Try to find out exactly what is holding you back or preventing you from progressing. um, Also, like mentally set yourself up to be ready to attack your goal. So going into my practices, I'm looking at my PRs, I'm looking at my record, my best runs, and I'm looking at my thresholds, and I want um, to beat those targets. There are days where I'll do my practice and I'll finish my practice, but then I'll go and I'll just attempt to beat my PR. Um, um, I actually did this a couple of days ago where I hit 50 twice in my run. I finished my whole practice, went through my DMs, and then I went back and I just did Eliminate 50 for probably, I don't know, probably 30 minutes, trying to beat that 50, trying to get to 49, because I am trying to move to the Eliminate 100 and go past that. And even the middle of the range portion, right? I want to get that number under 120 seconds for eliminate hundreds, eliminate 100 in the middle of the range. The only way I can do that is to get the eliminate 50 to a place where I feel like it's plausible that I could get down there. So mentally, I set myself up, and then I will even go beyond that to attempt to. I would just do a record-breaking session, and I'm just trying to break my PR over and over again. And then I guess the last thing I put on the mindfulness is don't give up on a rough day. Actually, today I was doing my drill and the Eliminate 50. I keep bringing it up because it's the one that's most relevant, but I couldn't break 60 for my first 5 runs. There was something not clicking. I kept missing the my first shot, so I know that always set me back. But I kept going, I kept pushing through it, and I ended up it took me I think almost 8 tries to get to my 53 threshold for my practice. So don't give up on a rough day. Keep pushing through. You'll power through it. Um, but you have to. There is a point where if your target is too hard, if it's not actually achievable, if I was to set my current threshold at 49 for eliminate 50, um, I'm gonna have to give up on that. I still can't hit it. That's not possible for me right now. Um, and you have to accept that that's the reason why, not because you're having a bad day. So like I knew I was going to get to 53. I kept powering through it and I got to my 53, but again it took me 8, I think it was 8 or 9 runs to get to that target. But yeah, so this is again mindfulness around your practice. Just you go in wanting to do it, and it's okay to have a bad day, but don't give up just because it's a bad day. Make sure that you're assessing why you're not hitting the target for that, which I guess kind of caveat, well, wow, segues, the word segue is what I wanted to use, into my last kind of point here, which is tracking your progress, tracking your runs, and adjusting as you need to. So I have a list of my PRs. I have a list of my thresholds, and every time I have a new PR, or I feel like I'm good to change a threshold, I have a record of when I'm doing that. I actually recently started this, so I don't have all my PRs on there, but well, all the times that I got a new PR, but it is something that I keep track of and I monitor, and I use that as the mindfulness section as well. That I go and I check all those things. What am I going to do on this run? What is my target? What is my threshold? And like I said, I'll do PR days. I will try to break a record, and the only reason I want to do that is so I can update my tracker for those runs. Um, Additionally, I actually record my sessions, and I will go back and self-review a practice run, be it the drill in the range or in the DMs. And I think it's very valuable, specifically to understand why it wasn't working out. What is missing? What is the thing that needs to be adjusted? And that's how I kind of recognized that I needed to acquire the target quickly, but then slow down to shoot and try to hit it on the first. I was noticing that even when I would hit it on the first burst, it was the second bullet that was hitting, not the first bullet that was hitting with the Vandal. So just being mindful enough to review your runs. It sounds silly, but record your practices and see what it is you can do within your runs that you can again make a little more efficient. Find out what you can do to improve by reviewing a practice. And then the last thing here is adjusting your thresholds. Like I said earlier, like I'm constantly looking to figure out when I can move to the next threshold. Again, I have an end desire, which is eliminate 100, and a target for the default position, and then a target for the middle of the range. So like I have those preset, and I'm constantly looking for when it makes sense for me to change the threshold. But also, not only moving forward, it's okay to look at it, like I said earlier, like don't give up on a rough day, but maybe your target was not as achievable as you believed it was. It's okay to take a step back and find a target that is more reasonable. And then the more you're able to do that and hit that target, then you can adjust again and try to get a little bit faster. I want to hit what was it, 10% of my DMs. I want to win 10% of my DMs. I want that to be a target for me um, for my DM practices, and I can't set up that I will win a DM every practice. Like I only play 3. Um, but that is something that maybe one day uh, I can I can set it up. And that does that mean I play 5 or does that mean I play 8 when I start to do that? Maybe so, but that'll be me looking at this end target that I want to get to and adjusting my practice routine so that I am able to do those things. And yeah, if I can win 10%, then maybe at most I play 10 DMs a day to get that one win in the future, and we'll see how that goes. But no, that's a possibility. That's something that I've thought about and figuring out how to give myself a DM win as a part of my practice. Anyway, so kind of jumped into a lot of things there, but so it's kind of quick recap. Set targets up in advance. Give yourself achievable, measurable targets. Look up SMART goals if it's not something you have heard of, but I think it's very powerful to give yourself a something to push you toward and constantly be kind of monitoring and adjusting those things. Go into the practice with the expectation that you will push yourself. Um, Mentioned earlier that I've seen people go through the motions in Valorant alone. Like even when I played sports, let's call it you know high school and post high school things that I did college and even after college, that we would go into the practice session with the intent of doing something specific, and you will see people just go through the motions, and that again, that's fine if that's the case, but don't expect to get better if you're just going through the motions. You have to be pushing yourself and using your practice as as an opportunity to push yourself, and then track and adjust. Again, VOD review yourself with your practices and see if you can identify what's holding you back, and what small thing you can change or be extra mindful of for your next practices. All right, well, that's yeah, that's the session for today. Thank you all for hanging out. Um, we are doing mentality for the next episode. I plan on talking about having a positive mental and how to reset my mental kind of when I have rough sessions. The last, I think I lost for the first time 7 games in a row this week, and I want to talk a little bit about how I struggled with that and what I did to kind of reset as the next day came around. I don't really do between games, but I do want to talk about how I reset for the next day and probably what I would change if I had another opportunity to go through those games again. So hopefully that's something that's interesting to you, and if so, great. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.